Welcome back to Season 2 of Triple Overtime. Coming up on Episode 4, the guys look back at their NFC-AFC Championship predictions. Who was right? Who was wrong? Plus, they look ahead to the big game and predict the winner, final score, and MVP. Also, a new segment titled Overrated, Underrated until we think of a more original name. Triple Overtime starts right now.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Triple Overtime. As always, it's your host, Austin Snyder. You can catch me, Austin Snyder 90. We'll have all that other stuff listed. Amar Burton, Dylan Holloway, special guest, baby Zevin Snyder. Say what's up to the people, Zevy. He is not interested at all. What he is interested in, though, is how are you doing, Amar? How are you doing, Dylan? How have you guys been doing? I hope your day's been going a whole lot better than mine.
I've been doing good. I'm kind of a little salty that you got your baby on the podcast before I was able to bring one of mine on. I was thinking I'd be the first one, with the baby cameos. But yeah, I'm doing good. Doing the twin dad thing, doing the work thing. Got my midlife crisis coming up, which is manifesting itself and wearing my hats backwards and getting new tattoos. So, since I can't afford a Porsche, that's what's got to be. So, yeah.
Next best thing.
What are you talking about? Can't afford a Porsche? You got that Las Vegas paper editor money coming in. We all know the only reason to get into journalism is for all the big bucks, right?
I got that the Las Vegas if I were a better gambler money that's going to be coming through at some point, right?
Right.
Yeah. Big gambling week this week, actually. It's supposed to be the most money ever bet.
It's gonna be a huge one. A lot of money won, a lot of money lost.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, all right, I know it's a big deal, but I feel like every year there's the biggest thing ever in history, ever. Like the biggest ratings ever, the biggest gambling ever. How is it just increasing? Is it just because there's more people, or is it inflation, or
gotta be inflation? It's inflation.
Yeah, that's why every new contract signed is the highest paid quarterback contract ever because inflation. So
right, every time an elite QB is up for a contract, he just resets the market. It's really what it comes down to.
Yep.
So I gotta tell you.
Yeah, I follow Adam Schefter too, guys. I know, all right.
As I said, I hope you guys are having a better day than mine. For most who are most of you who watch this show week to week know that I sell cars for a living. Now, because of that, I get to work all weekend as everybody else has that time off. The nice thing is having that time off during the week allows me or affords me the opportunity to go grocery shopping, do things like get my hair cut. As we can see, Dylan has just got his cut as well, looking so fresh, so clean, Dylan. It looks great.
Thanks, buddy.
Me, on the other hand, let me step a little bit into better light. I look like the Wolf Man, ooh, there you go. What is it? Because I can't get a haircut. I sat in the barber shop for 2 hours just to be told I had to wait another hour. And now I get to stare at Dylan's beautiful hairline, all beautifully cut and everything else. So it's a very disgusting thing.
And you've got to look good to sell the cars, right? You can't.
Of course.
Yeah, you don't want some homeless looking car salesman, right? Like, hey brother, this one's gonna treat you right. Just all scraggly, pants all torn up. He's got like a mustard stain on his shirt. Like, you don't want that guy trying to sell you a nice car, right?
No, they're
and even worse, I'm like the ad guy. So I'm the go-to guy every time they need to shoot a commercial or do some kind of spotlight or whatever the case. So it's never like, hey, Austin, here next week, we're going to be doing this. It's like I show up to work and they're like, oh, by the way, we need to put you in front of a camera. So
You mean
Yeah.
you mean you were the ad guy?
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, no, Austin, you're stuck on like selling windowless vans until you get a haircut.
Pretty much.
Windowless vans. Can you imagine if there was a lot where all they sold was windowless vans?
There is absolutely.
When you go on that lot, you go on some kind of watch list.
They specifically part of the uniform or the dress code is that you have to wear like tight tan corduroy pants that are just slightly too short, as well as Crocs with socks and a blue button-up shirt with a neon pink windbreaker over the top. So, and everybody has a mustache. There's no beards allowed. Mustaches and glasses.
If you don't get if you don't have a mustache, you're not getting a job there, man. They don't care what your resume looks like.
Show up
And
for
the mustache better be pencil thin too, my man. No,
Moving on.
that is frustrating. I've been in that same situation where like you had one day to get a haircut, and even though this is very dramatic, you're dramatic just like myself. You're like, oh, I didn't get the haircut this one day. My life is over. My week is ruined.
Pretty much.
You know, I look like a fool. Like, even though your hair looks fine, it feels like, you know, you're just
right.
Like, you know, so.
But
But I mean,
I'm like, no, I have to stare at this until next Tuesday or Wednesday when I can get an opportunity to go get a haircut again.
yeah, your schedule is I have weekends off, but like having weekends off still is tough to get a haircut because everybody tries to get a haircut on the weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I recently now have Sunday and Monday off from my regular shoot job. And now I can go get my haircut on Monday. I can make a doctor's appointment on Monday. I can go to the chiropractor on Monday. I can go to the dentist on Monday. All these really exciting old guy things I can do on a Monday. And I am a year older. I just had my birthday. I'm now the big 3-5, if you can believe it.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I moisturize. That's my secret. No, I mean, having a weekday off is a pretty good deal when you're an adult. When you're like a kid, it's the worst. But when you're an adult, it's pretty good. Amar, what days do you have off again?
Sunday, Monday right now. But it moves around just, you know, depending on the sports seasons, you know, working
So
sports.
we're on the Sunday, Monday schedule together.
Yeah, which is cool. Yeah, like I've had other jobs where I had, you know, 2 days in the middle of the week off, which was awesome because you could do all those appointments and all that. Get excited about those old people things we were just talking about. One tip I don't know if you guys can do this, but being able to cut my own hair works out pretty well because that was something I was taught, you know, when I was young. So if I'm really in a pinch and I'm just really looking super unemployed and I can't get to the barbershop, you know, I'm not like great, you know, I can't do nothing fancy, but like I can very bare minimum basic cut my own hair. So that might be, you know, pro tip there. Pro tip.
You're trying to figure out how to do that.
The problem is the only haircut I could give myself would be to shave my head. And then I just look like a sociopath. It's not a good look. It's not a good look for me. I mean, you can pull it off. I can't, you know. Now that we continue this AARP podcast here about old people. So do you have this Sunday off? Let's segue here. Do you have this Sunday off, Amar?
I do not. Got called in.
And why not?
Well, there's this big game happening on Sunday. You might have heard of it. It's called the Super Bowl, and most of us in the sports media realm get called in to work that day. You know, no day off. That
big game. The granddaddy of them all, the Super Bowl is this Sunday, and we made some picks for who was going to be in the Super Bowl and what the scores were going to be. I believe Amar went over, didn't you, on your teams?
Yes, I did. Yep.
You had the Niners, and it would have been Kansas City. I had the Bengals, which I got right, and I also had the Niners, which I really thought the Niners were going to pull it off. They blew, in Kyle Shanahan fashion, they blew a fourth quarter lead, though. That guy loves blowing leads. I tell you what, like he got the Falcons in the Super Bowl blowing a lead. He got the Niners against Kansas City blowing a 10-point lead. And I think they had a 10-point lead against the Rams, didn't they? It was at least in the third quarter. I don't know if they had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, but I know there was like 17-7 at one point. And with the Niners defense and just how well they can run the ball, you would think that this team is so built to hold the lead. But my goodness, they can blow a lead like none other. The only one to get both teams right is the guy with the terrible video right now, where he's got the black bars on the side. He can get predictions right, but he can't buy a webcam for some reason. Austin had the Bengals and the Rams in the Super Bowl. I believe you have the Bengals winning, right, Austin?
I do, absolutely. Wait, yeah.
So
sorry, I thought I had it on mute. And also my computer blew up, buddy. That's why I haven't gotten a webcam there. Okay, sir. Anyways, not only did I have the Bengals winning, and did I correctly predict both teams going to the Super Bowl, but if you go back and watch the video, I also correctly predicted how both teams were going to go to the Super Bowl. So, as always, check the film. I was right. I'm a genius. Might as well call me Austin Belichick.
Well, yeah, Belichick didn't make the Super Bowl this year.
So I'm better than Belichick is what you're saying.
Anyways, so we're going to go through some predictions here. Austin, I assume, is going to stick with the prediction he already had. Absolutely. I believe he picked a score last episode. So if you want to pause yourself, Austin, and go check that episode to make sure you have the same score, because I'm sure you didn't write it down or you forgot it. So we'll start here. I guess I'll start with you, Amar. So you got the Bengals, you got Joe Burrow, you got Jamar Chase, a very high-flying, fun offense. Good running back, middle of the road defense. I think they're like right at like 15, 16 or something as far as complete defensive ranking, and then you got the Los Angeles Rams, who are, for all intents and purposes, kind of the NFL equivalent of like one of those NBA like super teams almost.
Yeah.
At least on paper, right? You got Von Miller.
Yeah, the star-studded roster. Yeah.
Yeah, you got Stafford, the quarterback that made the
Odell
trade for.
Beckham.
Yeah, Odell Beckham. You got Von Miller. You got Aaron Donald, the greatest defensive tackle of all time on paper in like 2 years. We were talking about this off the air the other day. The dude's made an All-Pro every year he's been in the league except for his first year. So by the numbers, he's like gonna be the greatest defensive player ever if you take All-Pro as the highest measurement. That's neither here nor there. So it is what it is. But they have a lot of dudes. Right. As a lot of people like to say, they got some dudes on that team. And then Sean McVay, a lot of people have this guy as a coaching genius, offensive genius, even though he only had 3 points in the Super Bowl, brother. Against Bill Belichick, though, but Bill Belichick has made a lot of offenses look minute. So it's going to be a good matchup. And it's a very, very tough one to pick, at least for me. Amar, who do you have winning the Super Bowl and what's your score?
Not that, my opinion is going to be worth anything, because consider how badly I botched these whole playoff predictions. But I'll go with the Rams. Part of me, okay, I'm trying not to be too personal, but part of me just feels, as a Browns fan, just feels weird for the Bengals to win the Super Bowl. That aside, though, I do think that, as we talked about, the Rams, they just are a more talented team. They've got, some players who have been here before, and that's big to me, is like having, some experience like in a game this big. And that there's something to be said for them playing in their home stadium. Although the Bengals have been winning on the road, they went to Tennessee and Kansas City won on the road, but still, just seems like it's going to be the Rams' time. Score 28-20. And did you ask for MVP?
No, but I was about to ask for it next. MVP on the Rams.
Cooper Kupp.
Oh, I like that. A little spicy.
Yeah.
I don't believe that it'll happen.
And while we
talked
about the Rams only scoring 3 points last time they went to the Super Bowl, some people don't remember Cooper Kupp was actually hurt for that game. And had he been available,
they might have scored 6 points,
they
brother.
They might have scored 9 points, 10 points, and still lost. But Jared Goff Cooper Cup connection, but they were good back then. 3 years ago, Goff and Cup, that was a thing until Cup got hurt. So yeah, I'll go Rams 28-20, Cooper Cup MVP, 100 something yards and
Austin,
a touchdown or two.
I'm
what
my
was your
original
score you had?
my original prediction was 27-21. I'm actually going to stick with that. And I'm
Bengals,
gonna
right?
I'm gonna stick with my original prediction of 27-21 Bengals winning with again some late game heroics by Joe Burrows in the fourth quarter.
So if Austin's prediction comes true, that cements Burrow as a player for sure. I mean, I feel like he's already like inching toward like superstar status already.
Oh, immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, when you take a team like Cincinnati that has had like such a playoff drought, such a drought of winning, like
right.
that to me says something, That's
it immediately elevates them. And the thing is like, you don't want to take away from like the other accomplished pieces on that Cincinnati roster, right? Because they've done they've made some amazing draft picks and have picked up some talent. T. Higgins is no joke. That guy's the real deal. They've got Joe Mixon, who's, top 3 running back in the game right now. You know what I mean? Top 5 maybe, but definitely argument for top 3. They've got a pretty stout defense. You know what I mean? So they've got some ballers, is my point. But when a guy like Joe Burrow comes in, and that's the thing, dude, that's like, if nothing else, he was able to come in with a huge culture change and put them on that elevation of winning and put that mindset of, the playoffs isn't just good enough. Winning the division or whatever isn't just good enough. Like getting to the Super Bowl isn't just good enough. Like they need to win it, and he brings that tenacity to it, that ruthless aggression, the ruthless aggression. but that's what's needed to win championship football games, and especially as you guys, Amar mentioned, against the team that was just in under these spotlights not too long ago. So it's going to be a tough road, but I think they got it. I think Sean McVay chokes with his play calling again.
I agree with everything Austin said, except for the Bengals having a stout defense. Although they looked great against Kansas City in the second half of that game.
Right.
Bengals defense, as I mentioned earlier, literally middle of the road. I mean, that could change in the playoffs. Who knows what happens. But
I was talking more recently then. But yeah, you're
statistically, they're very mediocre on paper. You know what I mean? So who knows what happens in this game, though. But they looked great against Kansas City, like I said. A combination of them looking great and Kansas City just kind of like not looking good.
Right.
Were you guys surprised at that game? The way the Bengals won? I mean, I thought if the Bengals could win, it would be a shootout. I didn't think that you'd see the Bengals defense just shut down Kansas City, because I kept watching that game and I'm like, all right, here's where the Bengals lose. All right, here's where the Bengals lose. All right, here's where and it just never happened, right? Amar, what did you think of that game, Kansas City
I mean, the result, the Bengals winning was a surprise. The way it went, them coming back from that deficit, like Kansas City not the way that they were scoring in the first half, and then just it not happening in the second half. Usually Kansas City gets on a roll like that, and they just keep it going, and they blow the team's doors off. So yeah, that whole everything about that game was surprising to me. Like, didn't see that coming at all. I thought Kansas City was not gonna walk into the Super Bowl, but pretty decisively take care of just a young team that hadn't been there before. And yeah, I mean, give Cincinnati credit for hanging in there with them and coming back and getting the win. I just, I think the run stopped here, but that was an impressive win.
I know Austin was very disappointed that we don't get to see more Brittany Mahomes and Jackson Mahomes TikToks now. It's a sad
really
day.
Heartbroken, actually.
Can we take a moment of silence real quick? All right, that's long enough. Anyways, yeah, I was surprised at how that happened, but I wasn't surprised the Bengals could pull it off because I picked the Bengals. And Austin, I'm assuming you have Burrow as your MVP, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Just like I said last week, 348 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, late game heroics in the fourth quarter is going to be one of those passing touchdowns that's going to elevate them with their 1 touchdown win. So
I really want the Bengals to win. I'm gonna pick them because I mean I don't know if it's more so heart than like I think they will win. I think this game is very much a pick 'em anyways. You know, I don't think it's like one team's. Even though the Rams on paper are like top heavy talent.
yeah, but anybody that thinks
Mhm.
that they're just gonna and they could come in and walk all over them, but I highly doubt it, man. I mean,
yeah, it's just
really
the biggest thing that scares me is the pass rush because like the Bengals don't have a great offensive line. Burrow takes a lot of sacks, and you have former Super Bowl MVP Von Miller on that side, and the greatest defensive tackle this galaxy has ever seen.
Right.
Yeah, he's got the combined DNA of like every great defensive tackle ever, apparently, and he's made 1,000 All Pros. Aaron Donald. Yeah, and then they have other great players on that D line as well, and that defense. You know, I mean, let's not forget. You know, you have probably the best corner in the game, shutting down one receiver. So you would think he's going to shadow Chase most of the game, right? Doesn't mean Bengals don't have other weapons to go to. I'm a big fan of Higgins. You know, I don't know. What's the tight end's name for the Bengals that got hurt? Uzama?
CJ.
Yeah.
Is that how you say his last name?
I don't know. I said the last name. I just call him CJ.
So CJ, I don't know if he's going to be ready. That's an underrated loss right there. If he can't go, that's a big deal right there. He's a good player. You know, he's not like he doesn't get like all the publicity of like Chase.
He doesn't jump off the paper, but he does a lot of the dirty work to help that team grind up these wins out. So
yes, and I don't know that Mixon can make much of an impact. I think if the Bengals win, it's going to be passing. I don't think you're going to see Mixon running it down Aaron Donald's throat throughout the Super Bowl.
Well, Mixon can make it happen in the pass game too,
But
though. That's the thing. I mean, Mixon isn't just one-dimensional, so he definitely has the capability to open up a lot of that inside outside running with his ability to catch out of the backfield, run a few routes. I mean, he's not Christian McCaffrey all of a sudden, but you know,
I'm just saying it's going to be hard for them to run the ball, I think. You know?
No, I almost picked Cincinnati, and it would have been if Mixon has a big game, then I see Cincinnati, you know, winning. You know, picking the team with the best run game in the Super Bowl, like, you know, it was kind of a safe bet. And he's got the ability to go off for, you know, 130, 150, something like that. So, yeah, can he do this defense, which hasn't been the most consistent defense in the world. So, you know.
Which is weird. You think this would be like the greatest defense of freaking all time. With some of the names that are jumping off.
They're not even breaking Legion of Boom numbers, and they've got easily 3 or 4 of the greatest, like, names at their position or best players at those particular position in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Aaron Donald, he's got to be in the talks for. He's definitely greatest defensive tackle this generation.
Easily.
You know, at the end of his career, people will say, was he the greatest of all time? You know, Jalen Ramsey, he's the best corner in the game right now, probably. You know, and then Von Miller, he's one of the best pass rushers we've seen in quite a long time. You know, him having that Super Bowl MVP, I think, puts him up in the upper echelon of pass rushers all time.
Yeah, like you said,
he may not be what he
defensively.
Used to be.
It's a super team. You know,
and Von Miller may not be what he used to be, but at the end of the day, the guy is still again, like you said, one of the greatest of all time. He's been to he's been to a Super Bowl before, multiple actually, because he lost against the Seahawks.
I think he was injured in that game, though.
Oh, that's right, he was.
Yeah.
Okay, but he's been in the atmosphere. He understands what happens, right? Andy's won one. But anyways, it like having a guy like that on the roster for a game like this is huge. It's very, very important, I guess, is my point. So, like, for anybody that thinks like, oh, naming Von Miller is somehow some atrocity, like, trust me, his name will be called in this game more than once.
I think so too. So I should probably get around to making my prediction over here. I'm going to pick the Bengals. I don't feel great about it, But I usually root for whenever there's a team that I don't have a rooting interest in, even though I don't want to see the Rams win the Super Bowl because I'm a Seahawks fan. Whenever there's two teams I don't have like an actual rooting interest in, I usually pick the team that hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, just because it's great to see that city, finally grab that brass ring. So I could see why Mars being a complete hater though and picking against the Cincinnati Bengals.
I'm not trying to hate on them, and well, okay.
I'm a very bitter Browns fan.
Wait, and maybe I'm really blanking on something. When was the last time LA won a Super Bowl? Like an LA team?
An LA team?
Yeah.
I don't think an LA team has ever won, but the Rams franchise has won.
Yeah, when they were in St. Louis, but I'm like thinking,
Yeah.
has an LA team won?
You know what? So what? LA's got movie stars, the Lakers, the Clippers. All like, no, forget
The
that.
Clippers?
I mean,
the Clippers
they
is a
have,
good
yeah,
thing?
they got the Lakers.
Doesn't
they got
matter.
the
They
Dodgers,
still have.
How about USC football, Austin?
There we go.
Remove
USC
the Clippers
football.
and put USC football. The
Yeah.
Clippers.
They got the Dodgers. They've had,
Dodgers.
like success. But I'm just
Yeah.
thinking like LA NFL team.
UCLA.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't think they ever won. It's funny because I don't think they ever won a title with the LA Rams. They went to a couple Super Bowls, and then they went to St. Louis, went to back-to-back Super Bowls, won one, and then came back and lost another Super Bowl in LA.
And I think
It'd
all
be
the
funny.
Raiders Super Bowls were Oakland.
No, one of the Raiders Super Bowls was LA, actually.
That is
Oh,
true.
it was?
Was
Okay.
it
Yes.
when Marcus Allen was on the team?
I don't know that specifically off the top of my head, but I remember because they had the big there was like that lawsuit, remember, with Al Davis. That was like a big thing, like because so remember the Deflate Gate. Obviously you remember Deflate Gate, and like Goodell having to hand him the trophy after Deflate Gate. That was kind of like a callback to I can't remember the commissioner's name back then, handing the trophy to Al Davis.
Roselle.
That big, Roselle after the big like lawsuit thing, and then going to LA and all that kind of stuff. He's like, here we go, cool,
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so so LA's
Yeah,
got
so-
one.
So
But
LA's got one, but and it's your team, the Las Vegas Raiders, which we'll get into more in the offseason because I do love talking some Raiders. But so I've got the Bengals. I'm gonna take them. I think it's gonna be kind of an ugly game. I think there's gonna be some nerves out there. I don't know if Sean McVay is gonna barf all over his play sheet like Austin predicts, but his like gigantic Denny's menu play sheet. I'm going to take the Bengals. Let's do out of the stupid score. It's just popping in my head. 23-19. I'm taking the Bengals in a terrible score. This is going to be the worst Super Bowl ever. 23-19. And I'm going to take Mixon as the MVP just because he'll have a couple like punch him in scores. You know what I mean? It's going to be one of those dirty games.
Safeties.
What?
Just 3 different safeties. Like.
No, it's going to be like one of those things where like Burrow is effective, but it's not throwing it all over the place because of the pass rush. And then like you get down to the 1 yard line and Mixon punches it in, or Mixon has one of those dump off
wins
passes.
MVP with like 7 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's going to have 7 yards and 3 touchdowns, and it's going to be the MVP.
Burrows has like 450, but 2 picks.
I don't know about that, but yeah, I've got Mixon as the MVP. I don't know why. It's not like I put much thought into this. It's just what's popping into my head right now. Very admittedly, ladies and gentlemen. So we got our Super Bowl picks. Now I want to segue a little bit to a brand new segment I titled, until I can think of a more original name. It's called Overrated, Underrated.
Overrated, underrated, until we think of a more original
five sports
name.
related things here, and they're all football related. They're all not necessarily Super Bowl, but they're all football related, right? One of them's kind of general, but they're all football related. So, and the way it's going to work is I'm going to go one by one to you guys. I'm going to have like Amar. Topic A, you're going to tell me if it's overrated or underrated, and a very quick synopsis of why. Then Austin, same thing, that same topic, overrated, underrated, synopsis of why. And full transparency, I have not told them what the 5 topics are before the show, just so we can get their absolute, kind of spur of the moment thoughts here. So are you guys ready to play until we can come up with a more original name, overrated / underrated?
All right, let's go.
I'm ready.
Insert music here.
Maybe I get some intro music for it too.
I might do it later unless I get lazy while I'm editing this, which happens late at night after work. So first one. I'm gonna start small here. We're gonna go mascots. Now, this is just a general sports one. Mascots. Austin, are mascots overrated or underrated, and why?
Underrated.
Why?
I think mascots, dude, man, those guys, a long time ago, I watched a documentary on them and everything that they have to go through just for their job. And that's not as easy as fun as you might think it is. I think they need a little more love. And obviously, they serve some purpose because they've yet to be on the chopping block of being canceled, like most useless, frivolous things are. So I'm going underrated.
Amar, mascots, overrated or underrated?
Underrated, because sports is entertainment, and ideally, in its best form, whole family entertainment, and mascots are entertaining to kids and to grown-up kids as well. So yeah, they just bring a fun element to the whole live sports experience.
I really like the Indianapolis Colts mascot, the horse with the belly, who does like the air hump at people. that guy's definitely underrated. All right, so double underrated. I'm gonna go underrated as well. I think mascots are awesome. I don't think we see enough of mascots during the games. See them like on the sidelines doing funny, cool stuff. Because whenever you go to a game, you're like, oh, look at that mascot. He's dancing around. He's doing cool stuff. He's doing push-ups, whatever. It's always a fun experience, as Austin said. And Amar said, it's all about entertainment, right? All right, so we're going to go sports gambling, which is huge now. And it's so many dang commercials, and it's like driving me nuts. Like every other commercial during a game is trying to get me to sign up for some sports gambling thing. Amar, in Las Vegas, live from Vegas right now, this answer might have some implications. Is sports gambling overrated or underrated, and why?
Overrated. I think that we've got to a point where people feel like you have to gamble on certain things. Like, oh, Super Bowl's coming up, I gotta bet on it, right? That's why there's 7 million prop bets available for every Super Bowl.
Who's gonna win the coin toss?
Yeah, and I think like people feel like you gotta bet something on it. Like just the whole idea that like well, let's make it interesting by putting money on it, and you don't need to put money on something to make it interesting. So in that sense, I'll say sports gambling overrated, but can be fun, but can also suck when you're losing money.
I'm going overrated as well. I think that the sports betting world and media have sports betting is becoming synonymous with sports, but not naturally. It's something that has been, like, as you said, Dylan, basically forced down our throats so much over the last couple decades. And now they're talking about, once it becomes fully, completely legal, being able to have an iPad at your bat, the NBA game you're at, to bet on whether the guy's going to make the free throw or what shoes LeBron's going to wear. I mean, it's just become ridiculous. And like I said, it's so clearly obvious that sports betting, the world of sports betting, sports in general, that world and the powers that be that profit from it and everything else, like, it was obvious that they're like, we need to make this synonymous with sports because of the potential profit that it'll show to our bottom line. Like, it's the most obvious. It's like me as a salesman coming up and being like, I know you have an 800 credit score and 30 grand in your bank account, so I want all of it, by the way, and I'm telling you that, and you're going to give it to me anyways, knowing that I'm going to rip you off at every turn, but you're just going to give it to me because that's just the way things are now, so 100% overrated.
Austin Snyder just admitted that he rips people off, ladies and gentlemen.
that was purely hypothetical. He's saying,
yeah. If I were one of those bad car salesmen.
Right.
No, I definitely think sports gambling is definitely overrated. And I hate that we've all agreed so far on everything. But like I said, we went into this cold. Only I knew about the topic. So far, we've all agreed on everything. Sports gambling, overrated. And the thing about sports gambling, not to get on a moral high horse over here, I hate how enabling all of it is to people who are addicted to gambling. right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know about that free throw thing. That's ridiculous. Like you're at the game and it's like you're sitting there like maxing out your credit card trying to bet on a free throw that LeBron's trying to hit against the Pacers in the regular season or something. Who cares?
Right.
It's dumb. And you're just like these people that have these addictions. Like you just, I don't know. I don't like.
You're right. Like
I don't
game 19 of an 82 game season where LeBron plays 13 minutes because the game doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, and I'm not saying people shouldn't be allowed to gamble or anything like that. Let's not go that crazy because if people like to gamble, it's cool. I don't know. It just kind of gives me a bad feeling when I see it advertised so much. You know,
Right.
I don't know. It kind of feels like cigarettes or something. Like smoke.
Well, like I said, it's just
smoke.
Right.
Like,
there's so much profit in it, though, for the sports world as a whole that, of course, it's the most obvious agenda out there of just shoving it down our throats so that like you guys have said, it almost becomes an obligation, especially in these big games.
All right. So moving on. Now, these last three are definitely all football related for sure. The first two are kind of general sports. All right. So this one, we're going to start with Austin this time. Trick plays in football. Overrated or underrated? That's a tough one, isn't it?
Underrated. I like trick
Okay.
plays. I think they're fun. I think they add such a crazy dynamic. They make for just some amazing moments, some historical moments. There's just a lot of, even against our Seahawks, I'll never forget that Antoine Randall touchdown pass to Hines Ward in the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 40. But as well as a lot of the flea
That's
flickers.
being edited out of the show.
Right. But personally, I would like to see more. I think they're fun. I think they're awesome. And I think when given the opportunity, they either execute well and create a really historical, awesome play, like watching Russell Wilson catch a touchdown pass, or two, they just totally fall apart and just create an amazing blooper or defensive play or anything. So yeah, totally underrated.
Amar, what do you got?
Overrated, because every football movie ends with a trick play to score the final touchdown in the championship game. And like the double reverse pat, stop. I want to see a football movie where the last play in the big dramatic play at the end is just
deciding if you should run it in with Marshawn Lynch or
just a 32 lead or a slant pass So I say overrated just because we make a bigger deal out of it than it really is, and they don't happen that often, and they're not as successful as they are, in the movies. So yeah,
I'm gonna go overrated as well. And this is one of the topics I thought of when I thought of this segment. Like trick plays are so overrated. Like I don't know. Sometimes they're fun and everything, but the Philly thing, how many teams freaking ran that after that was successful in the Super Bowl? I got sick of seeing it, like the double reverse little pass and everything. And like everybody just goes nuts for it. Like, whoa, my God. Like it's another football play. Like they're just, I don't know. And I don't like saying I remember like the Russell Wilson thing. Like I remember he caught a pass from Doug Baldwin, like for a touchdown, and Russ got like plastered as he went in the end zone. I remember fans online were like, we need to see more of this. It's like, I don't want to see more plays where Russell Wilson's getting lit up in the end zone. Like, I don't need to see that. Like, there's no reason for that. Like, I don't know. And like, the only trick play I really like is the fat guy catching a touchdown. All the other ones can go away. That's the only one that needs to stay is the fat guy catching a touchdown, which kind of really isn't even a trick play. It's just a tackle eligible.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels like a trick play because
the punter throwing one, because John Ryan in the face he made when he threw that touchdown pass in the playoffs.
That's the only punter I want to see making a throw. What's the Rams punter? Johnny Hecker.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sick of seeing that guy they're like, oh, like everybody calls it. They're like, oh, the Rams might fake it. And he just goes. And these guys wide open every time. Like, how is he always wide open? Like, how do you not see this on film by now? It annoys me. And that Randall thing annoyed me too, because Randall did that like 5 times during the season and it still worked. It's like, how does that work every time? It's dumb, man. It's absolutely dumb. Super, super overrated trick plays in football, but they can be fun sometimes. Okay, so Super Bowl. These two last ones are completely Super Bowl related. I'm gonna go with Super Bowl halftime show. Amar, overrated or underrated?
Overrated. Just, I mean, it's a mini concert and of an artist that you've probably seen perform before, and they don't really do anything like new or like super amazing. Like, it's a bigger name than if you just went to like a random NFL game that would be performing at halftime. But yeah, like, overrated. I'm still gonna watch it, but especially this year. But yeah, overrated.
Austin.
This year's halftime show, I want to say underrated because I don't think it's gotten near as much chatter as, a lot of the other ones that were kind of lame. But as a whole, I'm going to go overrated as well, especially in this day and age. I thought like some of the great thing about the halftime show to me, even as a kid, was just because all of the potential wonky things that could happen when, because they were live and, Mick Jagger forgetting half the lyrics to a song, or the infamous nipple reveal of Janet Jackson, or just whatever. There was just always like, it was worth watching because you're like, oh, what's going to happen this time? But now everything's so censored and delayed, and it just isn't, it's just kind of whatever to me. This year I'm really interested, and I'm hoping that things go off really well and that we see a great show. But overall, most of us, when we get to 30 years plus, we're going to the bathroom and having a cigarette during the halftime show anyways. So
Do y'all think that nipple slip by Janet Jackson was planned, or was that an accident?
100%
both. You think
You think
so?
it was planned?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I've seen both arguments for both.
Yeah, okay, planned by both of them or just planned by him? Because I
think planned by her. Honestly,
I have a hard time seeing her agreeing to that.
I've seen the interviews afterwards, and like he seemed truly baffled. Like, I had no idea that was going to happen. I just did what I was instructed to do. And like, you got to think, Janet Jackson, yes, was famous at that time, but she had kind of faded into the background, right? Like Michael Jackson was still very much a celebrity and an A-list, like limelight celebrity, whereas Janet Jackson, not, her name you knew, but she had lost the same steam that she had, throughout the 90s, that kind of stuff. Mm. So what better way than a wardrobe malfunction, which, if you remember, we had seen a handful that year through different like award shows and stuff. But that threw her into like iconic status. It was crazy.
It really didn't help her though. I don't think. A lot of people say
no, you could say that she thought it would and she misjudged it. But you know what? I'll have to circle back to this after I watch the Lifetime Janet Jackson documentary that's in our recording queue, and I haven't gotten a chance to watch it.
It's in the TiVo.
Yeah.
Hey, you just after
I watch that, I'm assuming they're going to address
that part.
Yeah. After I'll let you know after I watch that.
All right. Sadly, we're coming to the last topic here. It's been a really fun segment, by the way, guys. So last topic. Who did I start with last time?
Amar, I think, yeah.
All right, so we're going Austin first here. Super Bowl commercials, overrated or underrated? There's some people, before you answer, there's some people who watch the game strictly for the commercial. They don't watch any other game, any other sporting event. They go to a party to eat the food and watch the commercials. Austin, what say you? Super Bowl commercials, overrated or underrated?
Can I go off script a little bit?
I don't know what that means. Also, I didn't answer Super Bowl halftime show. It's overrated. Austin, go off script. Go for it.
My off script answer is accurately rated, right? And the reason why is because I think
that is not an option. You have to pick one.
Then I guess I will say slightly overrated, right? Just because, yes, you're right. There are, I guess in this day and age, there's not as many people because most of them are made available on YouTube or online, like the day of before the game even starts or the day before. But personally, I think anything that can get more people interested in watching football is always a great thing. And I know for most, at least obviously my childhood growing up, Dylan, somewhat similar of yours, seeing how we grew up together for the most part. It's just another reason to have a get together and hang out and spend time together and watch a football. Shoot, I drove all the way down to Salem, Oregon. You know what I mean? Remember for your birthday, Dylan, and we watched the Super Bowl that year when the Giants lost to the Patriots on the big theater screen. And
the Giants beat the Patriots that game.
Yeah. Yes. So
yeah, I remember. Quick aside there, by the way. So since Austin brought this up, I was going to bring this up earlier during another part of the show, but I remember this guy. He will not be named, but he goes, "Hey," he met Austin for the first time. He goes, "Dylan knows more about football than anyone I've ever met." And Austin goes, "I know way more about football than Dylan. I am the master of football." And so he goes, "Who do you guys think are going to win?" And Austin goes, "The Patriots are winning." And I picked the Giants. And the Giants won. And I've never let Austin forget it. As soon as I've never seen Austin so mad at a game that he had like no real like rooting interest in when Mario Manningham made that amazing catch.
To be fair, I slept through.
It was over at that point. Like it was like, oh, here it comes. Anyway, so it sounds like you said slightly overrated. Your argument sounded like they're slightly underrated, though.
Well, yeah, it's hard for me because like I personally love the commercials. I think it's a great thing. Like you see a lot of companies kind of step out of the box and that kind of stuff. But I will say in like what puts it slightly over that overrated hump for me is just like the emphasis that people put on it where, you know, almost like you had kind of mentioned, you know, the game doesn't matter, you know, oh, there's a football game on. I thought there was just a bunch of cool commercials. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, the most important thing about Super Bowl Sunday is that football game and everything, and that being a culmination of everything that 53 guys from 2 different teams have worked their tail off all year for to get to. You know what I mean? So to have it kind of pushed aside over some funny Doritos commercials or whatever is like, you know, like I get it. And I think they're cool, but yeah, I could see being a little overrated.
Okay, I like that answer. Amar, what do you say?
I'm gonna say, wow, fun. There's overrated because how much they cost. I'm looking at it from an industry perspective. How much they cost to have now to pay for Super Bowl commercials is ridiculous. And I've seen segments like this. You go back and you ask people like, what was that commercial for? And half the time they don't even remember. So the company's like paying, you know, whatever $1 million it is to have a Super Bowl ad, and people don't even remember what the ad was for. They're like, oh yeah, the ad where they had Missy Elliott and Busta Rhymes do the, you know, whatever. What was that ad for? Like Burger King or something, and it was an ad, and it was an ad for like Pepsi. So yeah, like, so that sense, like, bang for your. I just
remember there was a little baby that was dancing, and
remember yeah, and like you remember like what happened in the commercial, and like, okay, what was it actually advertising? Skippy peanut butter? No, it was for Toyota. Like,
right?
So, yeah.
So, are you going like Austin slightly overrated, or are you going full blown overrated?
I'll just say overrated.
Yeah. So I also am going to go overrated. I thought y'all would be underrated on the commercials, but the reason, so I like both your points there. Austin brings up a good point. It brings more people together. Omar brings up another good point. It's just the money is absurd on these commercials. And like half the time, I don't even know what the heck they're advertising for. You know what I mean? So the reason I think they're overrated is because commercials just aren't as good as they used to be either these days. You know what I mean? And Austin's right. Part of that is because a lot of the stuff gets leaked on the internet beforehand, but it just feels like, I don't know, maybe it's a nostalgia thing, but like commercials just feel like they were so much better back in the day. You know, people complain about how football's not as good these days. The Super Bowl commercials aren't as good these days. They're not as funny. They're not as creative. They're not as inventive. So maybe it's just because I've seen so many now and I'm older and stuff isn't as new to me. But yeah, I just think they're very overrated.
I remember back when we were younger, they had like interactive commercials. They had like sweepstakes leading up to whatever companies, you know, Doritos Super Bowl sweepstakes leading up to the commercial where some crazy things I mean, you're right, dude. They're not near as creative.
And the other reason
well, not to get too old man again, but like the same thing that's happening with comedy. It's like you have to be so conscious about offending somebody that I think the commercials they're not as daring or bold as they might have been in years past, because you're like, oh, that'd be funny, but that would offend this group of people, or that'd be cool, but that's not. So yeah, you have to kind of temper them down a little bit, and just so you don't get in trouble over them.
That's a very good point too. What I was about to say though is another reason I don't like him is just because this is very soapbox, get off my lawn, but I really don't like watching football with people who don't like football. I can't stand it, especially if my team is playing. I won't even go to a Super Bowl party if I know there's going to be people there who are, I'm just here for the nachos and the commercials. I talk during the game, but then everybody has to be quiet during this Tesla commercial that's kind of funny. Like, no, I'm not watching the game with those people. I can't stand it. They don't know anything about football. They sit there and ask, what's a first down during the biggest game of the year? They ask, how does he get a touchdown? Like, oh wait, what?
I didn't even know where the ball's going.
Yeah, it's so mind-numbingly annoying. So yeah, commercials overrated because of multiple levels that we've all explained here. But anyways, this has been the segment overrated/underrated until we find a more original title, which I have a feeling that's just going to be the title from now on.
Right.
Or just over under, right?
Yeah, it's literally until we find a more original title as part of the title. Anyways, well, we are all out of time here. We've had a great time discussing the Super Bowl. Have a great time with this new segment. Austin, Amar, I love talking sports with you guys, and I can't wait to do this again. Austin, why don't you take us out of here?
Guys, thank you so much to everybody still watching. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up, drop a comment down below, join the conversation. We love responding back to y'all. We really appreciate everybody who consistently, week after week, watches the show, supports the channel, just helping us push to live our dream, which is just talking sports and hanging out, building an audience. So thank you so much to everybody. As always, we will see you probably here in a couple weeks. And hopefully we all, well, me especially, gets to come on and gloat about my Super Bowl picks. So Dylan, Amar, thank you guys so much. As Dylan said, love talking sports with you. Have a good night. Peace.